knowing your weaknesses is equally as important as knowing your strengths. Sometimes you got to stay in your lane. Now, if you're familiar with this channel, you know that everything we talk about is becoming the best version of yourself, transcending environments, transcending people, transcending self. However, something that I just had to get off my chest. You people that are not fly, that do not know how to dress, have no business starting clothing brands. Stay in your lane. Like, I've come to identify that people would rather label themselves something than actually be it. They'd rather label themselves the owner of a clothing brand than actually be the owner of a clothing brand. People would rather label themselves a rapper than actually be a rapper. People would rather say they're a music manager than actually be a manager, because the barrier to entry for them saying the title is a lot easier than doing the thing that actually needs to be done. Light show, that means I must be hitting a point. Please respect the craft. Respect that some people innately have and are innately dispositioned to do things that you're unable to do. You know, great glory and great success comes with an element of almost luck. It's definitely increased by positioning, but they're almost there's the combination of preparation plus opportunity equaling success. Okay, they're prepared for it. The opportunity arises, and they're going to be successful. People that are really successful in the clothing industry oftentimes are fashionable people. So when I see people that don't know how to dress and they don't have that innate understanding of how to piece together outfits, just wanting to be a clothing brand owner, it completely blows my mind. Just stay in your lane. Certain things are not for everything, you know? In this life, you can do anything, but not everything at the same time. So I just think it's honestly disrespectful to people that are actually in the fashion space, people that are actually artists, people that are actually rappers, just because you want to label yourself that because the barrier entry is so low. I can just wake up tomorrow and say I'm a rapper because there's no threshold, there's no verification, there's no one that can check these things. Someone can just say, yeah, I've got a clothing brand, drippyclothing.com, and I could have the worst outfit sense ever. So I just implore people, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go after your dreams, but be self-aware of your capabilities and be self-aware of what you're good at. You know, you could be an excellent C or B player in a clothing brand company, but it doesn't mean you have to start your own. Maybe you'd be a good fashion photographer because you have an eye for certain things, but the actual clothing itself and the actual conception, people have to get their mind around the idea that there are people that have an innate ability. Now, for example, with starting this YouTube, I didn't just want to be a YouTuber. I didn't want to just label myself a YouTuber. I understood that it's gonna have to be a consistent amount of work, and I'm gonna have to couple my ability to speak with things that I'm already interested in. So it's not me just wanting to be a YouTuber for the sake of it. I'm like, okay, I want to create content around the things that I find interesting where I can potentially provide value and align it with something that people say that I'm naturally already good at. If I wasn't someone that was able to articulate myself in a certain way, maybe I would have veered towards a different opportunity. But I just think there has to be a certain level of accountability collectively where we let people know that just saying you own a clothing brand is not enough. Okay, if you're not somebody that's naturally that way inclined, leave that to someone else. And it doesn't mean that you should, again, like I said, you may want to pursue your dreams in fashion in a different way. Potentially, you could be a model. There's so many different areas, but I feel like the title of things really confuses people with their direction just because they want to be labeled something. Again, if there's ever a place on the internet, it's here where we accept people trying to better themselves. But there has to be a level of acceptance about who you are, your current level, and your natural capabilities. I've got another video on this somewhere. I'll probably link it down below. But it's about the components, the components that you can identify that will make someone successful. And everyone we respect and regard, they have an element of natural ability coupled with determination and extreme levels of hard work. If you're already not good at something and you come against somebody that is good at it naturally and they work hard, you're never going to be able to bridge that gap and sort of surpass them. So I'm not saying this to discourage people, but I'm just saying this for them to be aware of where they accurately lie in the space. You know, I get a lot of people saying that they want to start a clothing brand, and something I always do to them is I steer them towards some of the founders that I respect in the industry. So, for example, you've got someone like George Heaton, the owner of Represent, or you've got somebody like Reese Wabara, the owner of Manier Devoir. These are big clothing brands in the UK. Google them. And when they see the level of work and how meticulous these people are, they begin to understand it. It suddenly clicks. They suddenly start to realize, okay, just starting a clothing brand is not a cash grab. And certain people are not successful by mistake. The level of work that they've put in and the level of expertise they have, and then the natural inclination that they have towards certain things, and all of these things combined, again, it's not to discourage you. I think people should pursue their dreams, but just be realistic, please. If you're somebody that doesn't have a natural dress sense, do not start a clothing brand. If you're somebody that doesn't understand, you know, music, you don't just have that innate understanding, it's going to be very hard for you to beat somebody that's already better than you. Again, it's not to discourage people. At the end of the day, you can do what you want. But I just think someone had to say it. Like, seriously. Damn. Is there anything else I had for today? That's it. Let's go, man. Get it. You know what to do.